This is That Guy Jig Sports Podcast. I am him, JIG. Subscribe, rate, or review, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Check us out. And don't forget about the Instagram at That Guy Jig. Also, we're on YouTube at Jigsaw Jimmy. We're on week 2. This is week 2 of college football. And already we are seeing teams that aren't what we thought they are. We've seen teams that hit the portal hard and it just didn't work out. We see teams that didn't hit the portal and we're like, hey, bro, it's time for you to make a change, Dabo. Listen, I just want to say this about Dabo. If Dabo truly wants to put himself amongst the great head coaches in college football, and I understand that he's already there with national championships, plural. I get it. He's already etched his name. There's not more that he can do. But listen, there has to be something to be said about the coaches that were able to translate, transform, and transition through time periods. There has to be something said about this. Remember, there was a time where Nick Saban was against the RPO. There was a time where Nick Saban was trying to get the RPO banned in the SEC. But you know what old Nick did? He installed it. He started running it. He started changing with the times. And once he did no longer want to change, what did he ultimately do? He hung it up. Now, I'm not saying Dabo probably should hang it up, but I feel like if you're not willing to change, if you're not willing to accept what is going on in today's reality, then Clemson, we have to do something. And I'm not asking for this. I'm just stating facts. Clearly, Clemson is missing something. Clearly, Clemson is not getting what they once had. And why is that? NIL and the transfer portal. If you want people out of the transfer portal, you have to have NIL. If you don't want people in the transfer portal, you have to use NIL. It's just that simple. It's the name in the game that we play today. Coach K said it perfectly. Coaches that don't want to adapt, how great are you truly? Like, this is a part of the game. This is what you get paid millions of dollars for. So I'm very interested for the next couple of years to see what Dabo Swinney does. What is Dabo Swinney truly capable of? Because at this point, you kind of feel like he's holding back because he's being so stubborn. You can't go fully in because you're being stubborn. And you have to go full in. These kids believe in NIL. These kids believe in the transfer portal. And though, yeah, sometimes the transfer portal, you end up getting duds. That's a part of it, but you have to get in there. You have to get in there. And that's my rant on old Dabo. But Florida State, same thing. Mike Norvell, this is his third 0-2 start in 5 seasons. This is not what we brought you in for at Florida State. You are here to compete for ACC championships. You're now 0-2 in ACC play. You cannot lose another ACC game. Let alone another game. Let's talk about the ACC because I think people need to understand something. It doesn't matter if you go 0 in all your non-conference games. You can lose all them sons of bitches. As long as you win your conference, you go to the playoffs. If you start the season 0-4 and you go to the conference championship and you win, you're in the playoffs. It's just like March Madness. You win your conference, you're automatically in no matter what the record is. And that's the beauty of it. But so there is still a chance, a small chance. You have a better chance of seeing Zeus's asshole, but there is a chance that Florida State could make the college playoff if they don't lose again. Now, I highly doubt it. We listened to this team bitch and moan for a whole season to come out and lose 4 straight games since they've been bitching. Since they've been left out of the playoffs, they've lost 4 straight games. 4. I don't know, but I feel like this is telling. I feel like, shut up. I feel like, stop trying to ruin everybody's life in the ACC. I think Clemson and Florida State right now should just shut the hell up. Because this is what I'm talking about as far as the ACC and conference moving. This is what I tell my friends. This is what I tell people. Those 2 universities aren't attractive as they think. They're like the 6 that thinks she's a 10. You know what, dude? You might be an 8 if your attitude wasn't so shitty. But since your attitude sucks, we're going to put you at a solid 4 or 5. And that's Clemson and Florida State in the eyes of the big leagues. Big Ten and SEC. Don't come over here try to shit on all the Big 12 schools. Don't try to act like you deserve more money than all these ACC schools when you are literally shitting the bed. Don't try to force conference realignment when you cannot realign yourselves. You can't even realign your rosters, let alone a fucking conference. This is why I have a problem with the ACC. Put them back in their place. North Carolina State, Miami, who is probably going to win the ACC, tell them to shut the hell up. Because the rest of us ain't buying it. We're not buying it anymore. You're over here trying to ruin a whole conference for what? I'm done. Moving on. Saturday is a day of intriguing matchups. We got top 25 matchups. We got rivalries happening. Saturday is going to be an explosive week too. I hope you're ready for it. Starting off the morning games, we got SEC Big Ten. We got Texas and Michigan. Need I say more? We got the defending national champions going up against a team that made it to the college playoff. They lost, but they made it. We have going into this Texas team has national championship admirations. This Texas team has admirations of winning the SEC their first year. Will it happen? I don't know, but you know what? They look like they can do it. And if they can go into the big house, which I don't care what the records are, I don't care who the coach is, going into Michigan, the big house is no easy feat for any team. So even in the Rich Rodriguez days, even in the fucking Brady Hoke days, Michigan's fan base has always been there. Shout out to the big house. Shout out to the big house. But what I'm saying is this Texas team is going to have to get over that. They're going to have to get over this really good defense. Michigan's defense, I'm here to tell you folks, is still God tier. They have Wink Martindale calling this defense. Quinn Ewers is going to be going up against an NFL-style defense. This is going to be very interesting to look at. Will Quinn Ewers buckle under the pressure? We saw another first-round draft pick last year, Michael Penix, go against a NFL-style defense and struggle. So will we see the same thing with Michigan versus Texas? Will Quinn Ewers be able to pick apart this Michigan defense? We will be able to see. Because like I said, Wink Martindale is no slouch. He's no chump. He's the real McCoy. So that's a game that's interesting. But give me Michigan +7. But give me Texas to win the game. Moving on, we got Arkansas, Oklahoma State. This is a game where Oklahoma State's a 10-point favorite. But I do believe this is going to be a good game with a lot of points. I think Arkansas is going to be able to score some points. But I think ultimately Mike Gundy and this football team that he has in Stillwater, Oklahoma is going to be able to control time of possession. They're going to be able to force a turnover or two. It's in Stillwater. It's not an easy place to play. So I like Oklahoma State in that game to cover. And I also like the overs. Another game out here, Georgia versus Tennessee Tech. Georgia will cover. Georgia has us covered. They're going to beat the hell out of this team tomorrow. A game that's going to be intriguing that I also like, Iowa State versus Iowa. In-state rivalry. I like the overs. The over-unders are like 36. Like, come on, guys. You got to be able to get me 40. I like Campbell's team. I like Campbell's offense, even though Iowa's traditionally known as a good defensive team. They have a potential first-rounder on their defensive line. They have a good linebacking core. We know what you're going to get from Iowa's solid defense. But I still like Iowa State to cover. I like Iowa State to cover in the in-state rivalry. Tennessee and North Carolina State. Now, this game right here is very, very good. 5:30 later on in the evening. It's going to be a good one. We get to see Nico, the big 6'7", superstar, super-studded quarterback that Josh Heupel has at Tennessee. We get to see Squirrel White in this team go against an NC State team that I think is better than a lot of people understand. They got Grayson McCall. They bring in Jordan Waters at running back from Duke. They have a guy named Kevin Concepcion. If you don't know about him, please watch him. As a freshman, he had 70 catches. I like this game. I think it's going to be intriguing. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think we're going to see two of the best quarterbacks in the nation get to duel it out early, neutral site. I ultimately think Tennessee is at a different gear, though. I think Josh Heupel has something to prove. I think with the backing that he's getting at NIL, the more he wins, the more money you get. That's the name of the game nowadays, folks, when you're at these Blue Bloods. The more you win, the more money you get. So it's very key to win some of these games. And I think Tennessee will win this game tomorrow. I think Tennessee, a late game, Boise State and Oregon. I think Oregon takes care of business listen, Boise State had a running back that had 6 touchdowns last week. That's no easy feat. I don't care who you're playing against. 6 touchdowns is 6 touchdowns. And I think Oregon not being able to finish drives last week, I think that bothered them. I think that bothered them to the point of they are going to come out and they're going to be aggressive. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be effective. He's going to find a way to get Tej Johnson and Evan Stewart the ball, and they're going to finish drives in the red zone. I take Oregon to cover this 20 points. I take Oregon to cover these 20 points. I know it's a lot, but trust me, Oregon is not playing any games. Not tomorrow. Barely finish off Idaho. I guarantee you they had a tough week of practice. And for me, the game of the week, Colorado-Nebraska. Colorado-Nebraska. This game is huge on levels unknown to man. Because Deion makes a great point. When you talk about him and Matt Rule, they both came in at the same time. They both took over programs that were shitty, that are trying to get back to some type of glory day. But here's the difference. Deion has 2 first-rounders. So I feel like, personally, if Deion is to lose to Matt Rule tomorrow and it's not acceptable, if it's not a good game, if this is a blowout, if this is a bad loss for Colorado, it's going to say something more telling about where each program is headed for the future. Because outside of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, where is Colorado's program heading? Julian Lewis is not committed yet. The commits they have decommitted. There's been questions about the culture in Boulder. So the question I have for you is who is this bigger for, Nebraska or Colorado? For me, it's Colorado. They must have this game for the future of Colorado football. We know what Matt Rule is doing at Nebraska. We know what Matt Rule can do at programs. This is not a question. It's never been a question. He's a program builder. We know what Dylan Raiola is going to be in the future. We see the future for Nebraska. We don't know the future of Colorado. Is Deion staying or will he stay or will he go now? If he goes, there will be trouble. So that's my thing. This game is huge for Colorado because they have to make a bowl this year. You have to make a bowl this year. As good as Shedeur Sanders is, as good as Travis Hunter is, you have to make a bowl game. Jimmy Horn Jr., you have to make a bowl game. This game is huge for 2 programs and their future. For Nebraska, this game is huge because if you can win, then this shows maybe Nebraska is back. Maybe Matt Rule really is trending in the right direction. Maybe we're not just hoping. Maybe we see it. Maybe we know it. And that's the difference. That's the difference. I think the future for Nebraska, everybody sees it. Okay, Matt Rule, we know what he can do. This is a good future. With Colorado, we don't know. Colorado's a now team. Now. And like I said earlier in the show, it doesn't matter about your non-conference schedule. It's about if you win your conference. So you hope to see a team build, grow, but then you just don't know with some of them. I feel like that's a big deal with Colorado. I think the biggest deal with this game is going to be time of possession. You look at the game last year, it was 13-0 going into halftime. 36-13, I believe was the score or something like that. Colorado went on a crazy run second half, but it took a lot. 4 extra possessions is what they got from Nebraska last year. I don't see 4 turnovers. 3 fumbles and an interception from Nebraska. I don't see that this year. I see a lot more fundamentally sound football. I see a lot faster football being played. I think Travis Hunter and Shedeur are going to have to be Herculean tomorrow. They're going to have to lift up this whole team and win it. Because if they can't get consistent stops, if they can't get Nebraska off the field, if Nebraska is able to dominate the time of possession and not turn the ball over, I don't see how Colorado can win. Because if you aren't on the field, how can you beat me? There's no secret about it. Colorado's best weapon is their offense. You keep their defense on the field, you will win. If their defense is on the field, they will lose. They don't have that type of defense. And with how Colorado plays last year against Nebraska, 86 yards rushing, maybe a little bit less, that's not going to work. You have to be able to establish the run game, which I don't think they can. And how patient are you to try? How patient are you to try? Are you patient enough to keep trying to go? Because Nebraska runs the ball to where your defense is going to bleed. But are you willing to bleed a little bit to make sure you establish it, to make sure this defense respects the run? Because I'm here to tell you, if Nebraska does not respect the run tomorrow, it's going to get ugly for Showdown and it's going to hurt on Sunday. They're going to tee back. Tommy White and this defense, they are playing fearless because they feel like they have a quarterback to back them. Their offense is going to back them up. I'm telling people now, I'm letting you know Nebraska has a top 10 national defense. With an offense that's going to back them up, they are a top 10 defense. You mark my words here today. I am standing on that like Lamar Jackson, but this touchdown will count. So that's my game of the week. I got some bets for you. Listen, I can't leave you. But listen, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That Guy Jig Sports Podcast. I am him, JIG. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're getting to this money, but please hit the subscribe button. Thank you. I appreciate you. But we are getting to the bets for tomorrow. I will give you a few today, and then you guys will follow me on Instagram and get the rest for tomorrow. Okay? That fair? Fair exchange, no robbery? We're taking the unders on the Georgia Tech and Syracuse game at under 61. We're taking Texas straight up. We're taking Michigan +7. And also, we're taking Notre Dame to cover that 28 points. And I told you earlier, we're taking Iowa State +3 and Colorado +6.5. If you want the rest of the picks, follow my Instagram at That Guy Jig. And once again, this is him, JIG. I appreciate you. What is this? A ship that never sinks, a friendship. Let's stay together. Let's stay together. Loving you when times are good or bad, happy or sad. So once again, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. I am him, JIG, and this is That Guy Jig Sports Podcast. Thank you for listening. Peace.